In this video, we're going over the concepts of Chapter 2, which is titled Atomic Structure and the Periodic Table. The periodic table is a structure chart that organizes all the information that is known for the elements that are known to date. The first organization of the elements was developed by Dmitry Mendeleev, and we can see an image of him in the right side of the slides. He developed the system to classify the elements, arranging them in order of increasing atomic mass. That organization is not currently utilized. The periodic table now is organized based on arranging the elements that are known in order of increasing atomic number. In the periodic table, we can find other useful information that includes the 1 or 2 letter designation for the element based on its name. And that's what we call elemental symbol. If an element name has a 1-letter designation, then that is illustrated by 1 capital letter. If an element name has 2-letter designation, then that is illustrated by a capital letter followed by a lowercase letter. Additionally, the periodic table has vertical columns where elements have similar chemical properties, and that is known as the group. The periodic table also have horizontal rows where we can find elements, and those horizontal rows are known as periods. This periodic table illustrates the current knowledge for the existing elements that are known to date. Currently, we have in existence 118 elements. When it comes to the periods, which are the rows, we can observe that the periods in the periodic table go from 1 all the way through 7. Then the groups that are known to date, understand that they are going from a designation that is 1 through 18. And another common illustration for the group number is a number followed by the letter A or a number followed by a letter B. In later slides, we will see this designation for group number being utilized. While there are 118 elements in existence, in this course, you need to memorize the symbol and name for a selected number of elements. Those are given in slide 4. It is important that you correctly know how to write the symbol, that you correctly know how to write the name, and also remember that spelling of the name is important. Elements can also be categorized depending on their properties. When it comes to the elements in the periodic table, as we can see in the image that we have in the right side of the slide, in this corner, elements can be categorized as metals. And those elements are going to be found in the left 2/3 of the periodic table. In this image that we have on the right side of the slides, all the metal elements are illustrated by the blue colored boxes. Metals have some common properties that include high thermal and electrical conductivities, high malleability and ductility, and luster. Elements can also be categorized as nonmetals. And the nonmetal elements in this chart are actually represented by yellow color boxes. Nonmetals are elements that are found in the right 1/3 of the periodic table. They are often found as brittle, powdery solids, and gases. When it comes to their properties, they're going to be generally opposite to those of metals. That means that nonmetals tend to be poor thermal and electrical conductors, and they tend to be dull in color. Lastly, elements can be categorized as metalloids. Metalloid elements form a narrow diagonal band in the periodic table between the metals and the nonmetals. They have properties somewhat in between those of metals and nonmetals. And when we look at this chart, the metalloids are present in green boxes. It is essential that when it comes to this concept, you know how to categorize metal elements, metalloids, and nonmetals. My suggestion is that you memorize the metalloid elements, and then by observing this chart, you can see that the elements that are to the right of the metalloids are nonmetals, but also don't forget that this element right here, which is hydrogen, is a nonmetal. And then the metal elements are going to be to the left of the metalloids. And by remembering that fact, you can determine which elements are metals, nonmetals versus metalloids. To give you an example or where we can see some of these elements play a role in everyday life, metals such as yttrium, as we can see in figure 2.3, are present in the color screen, and also lanthanum is in the circuitry of smartphones. When it comes to the periodic table, we can actually separate the elements into three categories that include representative elements, transition metals, and inner transition metals. Representative elements are going to be those who are found in groups 1 through 2 and 13 through 18. If I use the number and letter designations, that will be groups 1 through 2A. Let me just write the letter A next to the 1. So it's 1A through 2A. And 13 through 18 is the same thing as saying 3A to 8A. You can look closely to the periodic table that we have on the left side of the slide, and then you can see some Roman numerals showing you the representative elements. 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, 8A. And then in parentheses on top of the Roman numerals with the letter A, we can see the first designation that I showed you. Some of these groups have a specific general name, and we can observe that the elements specifically that are in group 1A right here are known as the alkali metals. The elements in 2A, which are right here, are known as the earth metals. Next, the elements that are in 7A are known as the halogens. And lastly, the elements that are in 8A are known as the noble gases. The next category that we can have within the periodic table are going to be the transition metals. And the transition metals live specifically in this area of the periodic table. They are present in groups 3 through 12, or in other words, from 1b all the way to 8b. If I zoom into image on the left, we can see that the transition elements, the group numbers, are these. And lastly, we have the inner transition metals. They're called inner transition metals because they basically live here. And they are illustrated as two rows that it is outside the periodic table, but technically they live here. The first row, these are known as lanthanides, which are elements with atomic number 57 to 71. And then the next row are known as the actinides, which are going to be elements with atomic number 89 all the way to 103.